Hi, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to another Halloween themed video for the month of October. This video I'm going to be talking about my top 5 films for Halloween this year. Most are not traditional horror, but are still really creepy in their own way, and I think they're interesting films to watch at this time of year. Hope you enjoy. Number 1, Cure. A 1997 Japanese film about a wave of murders sweeping across Tokyo, and the only connecting factor between them is an X carved into the necks of all the victims. The murderers are often found near the crime scene and remember nothing of the act. We follow Detective Takabe and psychologist Sakuma in their efforts to piece this all together. As their investigation is going nowhere, an odd young man is arrested at the latest scene of the murder, and he seems to have an odd effect on everyone he comes in contact with. Detective Takabe attempts to interrogate him and find out his connection to the killings. Things I like about Cure is that it's one of my favourite films of all time to begin with, so I'm quite biased about it. I really like the pacing of it. It's very, very well done in terms of pacing. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's a bit in the middle ground. Like when things need to happen, they happen, and when things need to be like tense and build up, that happens too. I like the use of long shots throughout the film. It's a lot of long shots in some places where other films may have like close-ups or mid-shots. We see everything from afar as we're voyeurs and watching the scene unfold. It's very like theatre, I'd say. It reminds me a lot of Playtime by Jack Tati, which is another film I enjoy a lot, like where you're just watching these events unfold in front of you rather than being part of the action. Trying not to be too spoiler heavy, but I think there's the best antagonist in any film I've ever seen. Such a believable character and quite frightening, to be honest, because this person, I'm not going to tell you who it is very like you believe their story. Like they have a certain story to them and you just like follow along and you think it's true and it's true, and then you see their true side and then it's just like frightening that they had this other side beneath them. And I feel like the actor played this very well. A lot of scenes where certain characters move into the dark side of the room and then into the light. Like there's a scene where a character's found on the beach and then he invites him to his house with his wife, and we've got this character who sits purposely in the dark kitchen while the man talking to him is in the living room in the light. It like makes it more scary and eerie and mystery around the guy who's in the dark. Number 2, The Vanishing. This is a Dutch film, I believe, also known as Spoorloos. Came out in 1988. It's about these couple, Rex and Saskia. They're going on holiday in France. They stop at a service station in France to fill up like petrol. She goes to get like a drink at the service station and then she never comes back. So the film follows Rex like for the next 3 years looking like where has his wife gone? How did she disappear? Because he was there the whole time. He didn't see her go. Like what happened to her? Things I like about Spoorloos or The Vanishing is that it has such a good mystery throughout. Like you really don't know what's happened to her fully, and it's like we are with Rex throughout the whole thing. We're trying to figure out what exactly happened to her and to what extent, and like did she choose to go, did she get kidnapped? Such a good mystery throughout, and it keeps you guessing right until the last frame of the film. Another thing I like about The Vanishing is it has one of the most terrifying endings in any film I've ever seen. It's so nihilistic, I guess. It's so shocking. I don't want to say too much about what exactly happens, but when you get there, oh my god, it hits you like a ton of bricks. It's probably one of the best endings to any films I've ever seen. I like that in the first 10 minutes we get like this false moment of when we think the vanishing is going to happen, because the film's called The Vanishing, someone's going to vanish at some point. It's obvious, it's like in the title of the film. So when they drive into a tunnel and then there's no petrol, so Rex leaves Saskia in the car in this dark tunnel to go and get petrol, and when he comes back there's no one in the car and we're like, oh no, she's gone, she disappeared. And when he drives out the tunnel, she's just waiting outside the tunnel, and then they go to the petrol station thing, and then she goes to the toilet and we think, oh, this is the point when she won't come back, and then she comes back again, and then she goes back to the service station, and then finally she doesn't come back. And it's like so many of these false, like we're waiting for this vanishing to happen, and then when it happens we're like, oh, it's happened. A lot of the imagery we see in the film is foreshadowing a lot of stuff, like acts and things that happen. Like me watching it a second time, I was like, wow, there were so many hints from the first 30 minutes of the film that this is how the film is going to end. Number 3, Climax. This 2018 Gaspino film is set in 1996 in France, and it centers around a troupe of 24 dancers set in this one building. And it's after a rehearsal. They're having an after party of just jamming and just dancing around in this room. And then things start to get more weirder and darker when they start to consume the sangria at the after party that's been laced with LSD. Pros of this film is that the intro dance scene is probably one of the best introductions to any film I've ever seen. Well choreographed. It's so good that he got actual dancers for this film rather than actors who dance. He got dancers who he taught to act, and it's just so natural and it works. I think a lot of the script was improvised as well. I might be wrong about that, but I believe so. And it's just, this intro routine is so, like, the chemistry between all the characters and the dancers, and the way it's filmed as well was just immense. Another thing I like about this film is that a lot of the first half, I want to say, is filmed in one take. We don't get any cuts. We just have the camera following certain characters, and then we follow another group and see what they're doing. I remember when I watched this film, I watched it at a London Film Festival when it came out, and I've never ever wanted to get up and leave so many times in the film ever. I think a lot of it had to do with the marketing for the film, the Gaspar film. So, you know, it's got the potential to be extreme, I guess. And then it's just, I didn't know nothing about this film other than it was a dance film, but it was a horror. The sounds are so intense, the visuals are so intense, and it's just like, I was in such a space where there was people next to me, and I was like, I didn't want to get up, but I kept like nearly getting up, sitting down, getting up, sitting down, and I just somehow managed it. It was the hardest experience for me to ever watch. Like, out of any film I've ever watched, I've never wanted to get up and sit down so much. I just remember the thing that got me was just like the way the sound is mixed, and like there's points where the camera goes upside down and around, and all these noises and all this screaming, and it's like, it's really, really, really hard. Like, it's really disorientating, really uncomfortable. Like, the best way to describe Climax is it's such an uncomfortable film because you don't know where it's going next. You don't know what's going to happen. It's a ride, but it's a ride that's worth it if you're willing to put yourself through it. Number 4, Incident in the Ghostland. So this film was about a mother whose aunt dies and she inherits the house. She decides to move in there with her 2 daughters. As they're unpacking their stuff, a home invasion happens. A big brute of a guy comes in, beats up the daughters, takes one, goes off. The other one tries to escape. The other person that was with him like brings her back in and says, sit and like wait on the stairs. And then the mother starts fighting this other person, and then they have a scuffle. The mother ends up like killing the person, going downstairs, killing the big brute of a guy as well. And then the girl who was trying to run away wakes up, and it was a dream. It's a nightmare, to be honest, of like what happened to her 16 years ago. Like, she's a professional author. Her new book is about that incident that happened 16 years ago. She gets a call from her sister, who was like the one who was dragged away, and then she's like crazy basically, I guess, but she's suffering some sort of PTSD from what happened that night, and like she's lost her complete character. And then like she's like, come and save me, come and save me. So she visits the family home after all these years, and then we follow that story of like, yeah, I don't want to give more away than that. Things I like about Incident in the Ghostland are the twist is very, very, very out of nowhere, and it just like, it's such a shocker. Very, very nihilistic, and it's like you don't see it coming, and you're like, oh my god, this is like what has happened throughout the whole film. I like the mise-en-scène of the house and like the set design and the props we've got. It's like, it's very creepy, haunty house. It's a good distraction to the film. Like, it feeds into this like ghostly aesthetic. It has such good foreshadowing. Watching this film more than once, I noticed so many things that I didn't notice the first time. And I think it's probably one of the saddest films on this list. Like, by sad, I mean it's very, very, very like depraved. Like, the depravity in this film is so it's a hard watch. If you're not like emotionally available for that sort of stuff, like things that are very depraved, very nihilistic, very like, it's so like such a sad one. Like, I'd say it's the most extreme film on this list. So if you're not able to tolerate that, I wouldn't watch it. But if you are, please give it a go. It's a good film. Number 5, Lost Highway. This is a David Lynch film about a saxophonist called Fred Madison, who starts to receive these videotapes on his front doorstep showing his house from the outside to begin with, and then on the inside. And then he ends up going to a party, and then he meets this very mysterious man, and then things start to get even weirder. That's probably the best description I can give you of Lost Highway without giving anything away. It's a really, really good film. I think it's a very scary film, not necessarily because of jump scares or anything, but this blur between dream and reality that's prevalent. I like the sense of mystery throughout this film. Like most David Lynch films, you don't find out all the answers, or even any of the answers in some sense. I also think the scene with the mystery man at the party is one of the scariest scenes in film history ever. It is like really goosebumpy, like as it progresses, from the sound drowning out to just hearing those two voices and what their conversation is about, and then seeing his demeanor, the way he talks and the way he looks. It makes the whole thing just like so creepy. And then the scene ends and we go back to like normalness, I guess. It's just such a weird, unsettling scene. Soundtrack is amazing. Lots of like weird sounds and like, I guess, experimentalness. It feeds into the horror of the film. Like I was saying with Cure, I love the use of lighting. There's certain hallways and stuff that are pitch black, and we see characters appearing out of them and then going back into them, and then other parts that are really light, and it's just balance of light and dark. It works really well in the film. So yeah, those are my 5 favourite films for Halloween this year. I'm definitely going to watch them again, and I hope you do too. If you see any of these films, or if you've seen them, or you thinking of any other films that might be appropriate for Halloween this year that are a bit different, please let me know in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoy. See you guys next time.